You also received a letter from the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee that suggests your department may have, quote, rebuffed multiple requests from President Trump's security detail to increase protective resources. How do you respond to that?
That is unequivocally false assertion. We keep very close watch on a very dynamic threat environment. The president, the former president, are commonly, consistently under threat. We take every single threat seriously.
I don't believe you. That's Alejandro Mayorkas. I don't believe him. He's DHS. I don't believe him at all. And there are a number of lawmakers that have come out repudiating that statement and refuting it, saying, and Mike Waltz is one of them. There are a number of them. They've said absolutely, we can unequivocally confirm that yes, requests have been made. But apparently the director of United States Secret Service was denying a larger Secret Service footprint. And I mean, regardless of what you think about RFK Jr., I mean, I think it's really weird that he doesn't have protection either. That strikes me as being very weird because he's a very credible third-party candidate. And, you know, by all measures, he's met that. I mean, he's passed that litmus test. So there are a lot of questions about this. And this is why House Oversight has initiated an investigation into this. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch with you. The first thing that I thought of when I was watching all of the video of the I guess fairground, or the area where Trump was speaking, for the lack of a better way to put it, was 130 yards out, the rooftop that apparently had, I guess, no one cleared. I don't know how you cannot see a guy shimmying up the side of a building, and then he's in darker clothing on a white rooftop that isn't really that pitched, and he's bear crawling across. He had over 50 bystanders that could see it. Why could nobody else who was involved in security? And I want to be clear that until all the answers are in, I'm not armchair quarterbacking. I want to know what happened. And I want to go to the people that have the expertise in this so that they can give us some insight. And one of the first people that I thought of was our really good friend, Tim Kennedy. You know him as a UFC champ. He's a Ranger, sniper, special forces operator, unapologetically American. He's been tweeting about this, and he was asking a lot of the same questions that we were asking. So he tweeted on the 13th. He was glad the former president is okay, but he asked, the fact that this guy was able to get up there within 200 meters with a rifle and in an elevated position, he says, quote, is beyond negligent, if not intentional. And Tim joins us via Skype right now with an epic background. Tim, so good to see you, my friend. I wish it was on a better subject, but I'm so glad that you're sharing your expertise with us. And that's the question that I have. I've never, I've trained and I've had executive protection. Obviously, I'm not a Secret Service agent and I'm not in the military. But the fact that you had over 50 bystanders that were able to see this guy on the rooftop, and that 2 minutes went by that they were trying to get security's attention and nothing was done. How does that happen?
Yeah, on the responding to, communication is really, really difficult when you're working in a multi-agency, multi-district. You have state people there, you have county people there, you have city people there. And according to Secret Service, it sounds like they're leaning very heavily on local law enforcement to fill the gap. They were understaffed, under-manpowered. Obviously, they're inadequate, inept, and not capable to do the job. Mayorkas needs to step down, as does the Secret Service director. Both those appointees need to be fired immediately. In addition to that, there has to be an immediate look at the competence and capability within the Secret Service. When I said that, those questions I was asking, those were rhetorical questions. It's egregious. It's impossible, Dana. I cannot tell you. There is not a detail on the planet that would look at that building and be like, yeah, it doesn't need to be secured. There's not. My 9-year-old would do a better job. And first of all, my 9-year-old will absolutely make 150-yard shots off of a negative pitch slope roof. Even if you're shooting open sights with that rifle, like every single kid in Texas can do this, as you know. So like if a 9-year-old can do it, but a 20-year-old is able to clamber up onto a roof with a ladder that is in line of sight to the president, everybody's fired. Absolutely everybody, from the principal team to the site survey team, to the red cell team, to all the way up the chain of command, they're all fired. It's clear, it's evident, and no matter what anybody says from the organization, because they're just trying to protect their jobs now, they all got to go. They're on the scale of negligent, inept, stupid, incompetent to complicit, man, I'm not sure where they fall. You know, like they might be so dumb and so, and I'm not attacking the people on the ground because I do believe that they have the heart of patriots. You know, like you look at the women that were around the president, they wanted to do the right thing. They just didn't know what that was. When they're asking questions, what are we going to do? How do we get off the X? You see one of them cowering behind the president. Her job is to throw her freaking body on top of the man that she's sworn to protect. There's another one that's cowering behind the stage. You see two men looking out into the crowd, weapons at the high ready, doing the thing that they're supposed to do that they swore that they would do. And then you see another one, a Secret Service agent, that's cowering by the stage. She's fired. The other one hiding behind the president, former president, she's fired. It's that they don't know what to do, Dana.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do.
You hit the nail on the head. Our friend Tim Kennedy is talking to us via Skype, because when I heard that on video, I've never seen, and I've been around a number of politicians, I've been around presidents before, and their team knows a million steps ahead of time what they're doing. If they're not going to get out one way, they got 6,000 other ways to get out. I mean, they've rehearsed it. It didn't seem cohesive. And and also, correct me if I'm wrong on this. It's like if the president needs to move because there's a security threat, you're going to move him regardless of what he wants to do. I look back at what happened with Reagan and John Hinckley, and oh my gosh, you had Shattuck and Parr that were like literally picking Reagan up and shoving him like, they were trying to stuff a sausage back in the casing, shoving him into a car and heading off towards the hospital. I mean, they moved him if he couldn't or didn't want to move. That to me, this fell apart at so many levels, starting from that rooftop right there. Watching the women, and we're talking to our friend Tim Kennedy. Talk to me about this a little bit, because it seemed chaotic. Them trying to move him. A lot of people are blaming women serving. I think that's a weird thing to focus on, but it seemed like it was a skill set. They weren't trained.
Yeah. There are two parts to that. So one, you're like, a fart could almost blow you over, Dana.
Hey, in my mind, I'm like 250, okay?
I know
I'm like
you are.
250, 6'9", come on.
You're a beautiful, small, petite woman, right? That's what you are. The president that we're talking about is almost 300 pounds.
Yeah.
He's 6.5 feet tall. He's a giant man. If you cannot throw your body in front of him to take a bullet, you're on the wrong man. Yeah. So there is a size capability portion that has to be remembered, but I do 100% agree with you that this is not, this chauvinistic, machismo, a sexist issue of like the women are incapable of doing it. It is a training and competence issue. They were undertrained. They are not physically fit. When you see a woman that can't get her weapon in her holster around her love handle as she's wearing,
it's like Paula Blart, Mall Cop. Yeah, I'm stealing that from Kane.
She's wearing suspenders, just keep her pants up.
And that's not being mean. That's a requirement for the job. It is a requirement. I've had female details before. These women could bench you, I think even. They are hardcore chicks. They're like built out like, Rocky Balboa. And there's always exceptions to the rule, I've said, but that's why they're exceptional. But I'm also a little old school. I don't think a chick should be taking a bullet for a dude.
If they raise their hand, I have worked with women that they are far more competent and capable in so many ways than me. I've been with them in Afghanistan. I've been with them in Iraq. I've been with them in Africa. I've been with them in Eastern Europe, and I have been flabbergasted. Is not even close. I've just been beyond blown away by their capability, their competence. I'm thinking one of them right now. Like this young woman runs circles around me in the technology and weaponization of technology, drone warfare, cybersecurity,
they all have their talents. Everybody's got a talent. But you made a good point. I mean, he's 6'3". I mean, when he shakes your hand, well, maybe not yours, but my hand disappears in it. It's like a catcher's mitt. I'm like, there's no way I couldn't do it. And I appreciate those who want to do the job, but you got to be able to do the job. It reminds me of like Leonidas. We were talking about this and the Spartan 300. Every guy's got to meet the same bar, and it's not out of maliciousness. It's to serve that objective, which is greater than self.
Yeah, when you see posts from the director of the Secret Service saying, "Hey, we're going to focus on DEI," and we're going to hire
she brought it up, not us.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's lots of roles and there's lots of jobs where from equity to inclusion to send it.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
If you're flying a plane, if you're running into a burning building, if you're trying to protect a former president that is the Republican nominee for president, it doesn't matter. You can either do the job or you can't. In the military, we have these standards from Ranger School to Sniper School to Special Forces selection. Man, if you can pull the weight, awesome. If your bones are dense enough to do it, if you are strong enough, if you are fast enough, you are lethal enough, that's fine. Because the only thing that matters is your lethality. That's it.
I want to play this. We're talking with our friend Tim Kennedy. This is audio soundbite 3. Because I got 2 other things I want to ask you. One is about the private security for Trump. But the first thing though is, and again, I do not want to armchair quarterback these guys, because it's not hard to acquire, or it is very hard actually to acquire a target. I know that much. I've done long range, and it's not easy to be quick on the scope like that. I think that's only if you're in COD. But this guy, this video, and I think this is the one, Juan, that we slowed down. When the guy was on the glass and he was, and clearly, he's, checking for threats. And then it's almost like they saw the guy, they saw or heard something, and then they looked, the guy looked genuinely shocked. When you saw that video, what came to your mind? You know a lot more about this than the average bear. What came to your mind when you were seeing this?
Yeah, I was on a call last night with a bunch of very, very talented, far more talented snipers than me. I've been a sniper for 16 years. Went to Special Operations Target Addiction School, which is the level 1 sniper course, Special Forces Sniper School. And one of the guys that I was on the call with last night holds the current record for the furthest combat kill in current history. And not like some made up Ukrainian stuff at 7 miles. I'm talking couple of dudes on glass,
right?
And they splashed a Taliban terrorist in Afghanistan.
Wow.
This Canadian Special Operations sniper. And as we're breaking down that specific portion, we all could not understand. This is not what you're doing. So you do this range card from the position that you're at. You know where your principal is. You know the guy that you're supposed to protect, and then you have this range sector. Right, you have this left and right limit, and this is my responsibility to observe and know what's in this area. And on my range card, they've done the site survey. So they take a guy and they send him out into within probably 2,000 meters around everywhere where the person that you're trying to protect is going to be. And you identify every single line of sight. You identify every single rooftop. You identify every single window. And those are all represented. And then in some instances, you'll even categorize them. If there's such a high threat, you're going to put a physical body on top of that rooftop. That spot specifically, there is no listen to me. There is no way, I'm saying this with absolute 100% certainty, that they knew that specific spot was one of the most dangerous and deadly spots in the entire campus that they were trying to protect. They knew that without a doubt, and they knew it before the president got there. So that sniper has this X on his map that says 151 meters from where he was, or 154 from where he is, 151 the shooter was to the president was. And he was absolutely looking at exactly where that guy was going to come up. And when he came off the rifle, it was because he was scared. He was not trained. And I think this is a byproduct of what has been happening with law enforcement for the past 10 years. They're going to jail. They're being indicted. They don't have the confidence to do their job because they think they're going to get fired, right? So then you see this guy pop up. It's on a negative slope roof. If somebody's low crawling up there, the fact that he could get there is a different story entirely. But then he pops his head up and you see him look. He comes off his optic. He comes back down. And then the fire, and he gets off completely off his gun, and then somebody's able to splash him. That is an untrained, ill-equipped, incompetent person that is not and maybe he's an amazing sniper, but his ability to do his job has been undermined. He can't do the thing that he's supposed to do, which is to kill somebody else that's trying to kill the person he's there to protect.
Last fast question for you. You said that it's time for Trump to have privatized security solutions,
yes, ma'am.
A non-government security option, because of this, and because you think, I think it's a fair question whether it's accidental or malicious.
I mean, it can be if let's say you were in the seat as the director and you were looking around the person that you're supposed to be protecting, and you see the capability or the lack of capability and the incompetence and the negligence and the ineptitude, and you're like, you're smart enough, Dana, to recognize that that is dangerous. So then as you start sliding down the scale into complicit, where you are aware that it is so dangerous, but you're still allowing it to happen, now, I mean, you're almost, in some way involved.
Right.
You're in cahoots with the guy that's about to pull the trigger because you've allowed it to happen because of the inability of the people around him. He has to get trusted non-government people. It has to be augmented. Secret Service is not going to like it, but those resources should to a ground force commander that can use the dogs, the physical security, that can use the metal detectors.
They got
that's
to make
using
it
the American
happen.
budget.
Make it work together. We're short on time now, but Tim Kennedy, God bless you. I appreciate your service. I appreciate your perspective on this as well, because that experienced analysis. I think that's a lot of people were looking for that. A lot of those answers on this. Thank you so much, my friend, and I appreciate you doing it on such short notice too. God bless you. Thank you. Thanks for watching The Dana Show. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and stay tuned for more content.